Hi, my name is Tony Shahidi from IPM, Integrated Programming and Manufacturing. I have 30 years of machining experience and 20 years of Mastercam programming experience. That's including all axes, 3-axis, 4th-axis, 5th-axis, vertical, horizontal, rotary, indexers, all, and multi-surface and multi-axis. The reason for this video is I'm going to demonstrate very quickly. We're not going to go so much in detail. As you can see, this part right here is a cylinder port, and as you can see, the only thing as you can see in this level, it's only the shading. Now if I turn off the shading, you're going to see a wireframe of the port. What makes this port complicated? Because of that bump inside of there. This bump right there, you can see as inside here, that bump, and it makes it a little bit more complicated because we're going to be using a lollipop end mill, and the end mill has to basically clear the top and also to clear the bottom where the hump is right there. Okay, we're going to move on pretty fast because the video is very limited as far as time goes. So the first thing you're going to do in a situation like that, I'm going to turn the shading back on, you need to create some kind of geometry around this both rims on top, the flanges. Right now, as you can see, the only thing is here is just a wire, is only a solid. There's nothing else in here. There's, surfaces. There's no solid, there's no wireframe or nothing. We're not so much worried about this part of the geometry, where the port is, because we're going to create a spline down the middle of a port to make the tool 5-axis milling to follow that, the lollipop. The only thing we need right now, basically, we need to create a curve around top of those flanges and outside, very far out, and so as this side also. And the way you do that, usually you go to, I'm going to go pretty fast, but create, I'm trying to look, curve only on one edge. I already have that done in a different level, and you bring in the edge that you want, and then which has to be your farthest edge, and then you basically have to click on it, which is going to be right here. By clicking on here, you're going to create a geometry around that lip by itself. So then what you have to do, basically, bring this back inside, flip the screen. Okay, and then isometrical view. Okay, so next thing you have to do here is basically you have to do the same thing on this side. Create curve only on one edge, and you choose a very far edge on top, will give you a geometry on that. And to look at that, I have it in a different level. I'm going to call up the level. And it's going to be a level here, is going to say normals, splines, and flat boundaries and surfaces. So you're going to see, basically, there's a curve that I was talking about. You can see outside this rim and outside of this rim. You can see it very closely. So what we're going to do right now, once we created that ring around both ends, now we're going to create a flat boundary surfaces, which is going to be, you go create surfaces, and then you look for flat boundary right there, and then you chain the first curve on top, and you create a surface here. You say okay, then you go do the same thing on the other end, and you create a surface. As you can see, the green and green are surfaces we created. So now we have defined both ends. The both ends have curvature, arcs, curves, and the both ends, they have surfaces. So now all we're going to do right now, we're going to have to, first of all, we have to make sure the way that normals will move is in the right direction. We're going to be coming from one end to another end, and if I go isometrical view, you're going to see which end it is. So we're going to come from this end and then you're going to go through the port and machine up inside of the cylinder port. So in order to do that, first thing we have to know which way is which the normals move, right? And another thing that we need to know, we need to define a length for those both ends. So once we created finish the both ends, and decide which way it's going to go through, the way I'm going to have my vector go through is basically it's coming probably this way, facing out normally. Mastercam puts it out, and then another normal going this way. But we're going to change it to the other direction. We're going to change it to go all the way around. This one's pointing in, and this one's pointing out for this purpose, right? And for doing something like that, just go edit, and then you go to change. I'm trying to see it from right here. Change normals, right? And you're going to see here, select on the surface. So let's say we select on this one, and then how you want it in. We want to have it this way, so bring it as close as you can to the center of that surface and click on it. Then we're going to do one more time here. Okay, that's the direction. So you do the same thing on the other end. Make sure the flow of the normals this way. And once both flows are set up right, and then we're going to save a file. And next thing you're going to do right now is basically we're going to go to the main purpose of this whole video. We're going to create the spline. The spline is already created, but I'm going to show you how to make it real fast. So if I go to wireframe, as you can see, the spline is already created. The red curve in the middle, a spline in the middle, which ends to the end of your both vectors, also your normals. That is the spline. And how we create it, we go create, spline, and then we choose blended spline. So what you have to select there, curve 1. All you gotta do is come over here, click on that. We already have it. I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to ask you for curve 2. You go to the bottom of vector right here and click right at the end of that at the surface, and then we'll give you the spline right here. And if you want to change the shape of the spline in the middle, you can go to this part right here, and what it does, this part controls the spline, controls the curve, how you curve it. Sometimes you have to go back and move your vectors a little bit farther in and out, and then recreate the spline to if the lollipop hitting the top or hitting the top of the bump in the bottom, you move it down the center. You can control that by going to this part and control your spline curve. So at this point, with this video, we have created both curves on top of both ends of the cylinder port, and we set up the nature of the normals, and we changed the direction of the normals, and then we created the boundaries, flat boundary surfaces in both ends to define both flanges. And after that, we created these vectors here, right? And we set them for 0.800 thousandths long. That way both comes to look kind of work with each other. So, and then after that, we created a spline down the middle. We created a spline, blended spline. We clicked on this, we clicked on that, spline's there. So as far as the geometry, this program is done. And next session, I will be demonstrating how to machine this whole port using a 5-axis, multi-axis mill with a lollipop tool. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.